I haven't heard anything from Kim or from
Rewe.
Thank you, or from Greg. God. Names are not my strong point, believe me.
I'll pick them up.
So I hope they just turn up later. Confirmation of status of agenda. I would like to move.
No, sorry. You got to wait. You've got to do your apologies, and Councillor McAnally is going to be early departure.
Sorry.
So you'll need a mover and seconder for that.
Okay, I'll move that.
Second.
Thanks,
All in
Eden.
favour? So, all right, wave. Do a silly dance. Yep. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Eden. Vanessa, is someone coming to talk to us about the Hamilton to Auckland Metro Spatial Plan, or whatever that's called, future-proof?
I'm not aware of today, no.
Okay, then that can stay on that part. That's unfortunate, since I have kind of questions that
Okay.
I need.
Well, feel free to fire them through. Don't need to wait for today's session, and we can share them around. Whatever the answers are. Yeah.
I'm just aware that that is due on the 12th, which is next week, I do believe. I think feedback on that plan. Okay, so we don't need to move that round, and because Julie and Leanne will be up front. Cool. Okay, well, I'm quite happy to leave the agenda as it is then. Is there any other comments then about changes to the agenda? No, do I need to move
Joanna never came, so I don't know if you want to just strike off the police update.
Okay, yeah, we'll strike that off then. I did get in contact with Joanna, and she said that at her place she can't get internet basically, and so and she can't use police IT to log into a Zoom meeting, because of course the police ITs are all locked down, super heavy. So I did connect her up with Eden, or give her Eden's details so she could sit on the porch with the team there. Unfortunately, it's just... So we'll remove that from the agenda then. Yes, Shelley?
Oh, sorry. So you don't have to use MRG?
No.
I think you should have done a written report if she can't come into these meetings. Then we need some kind of report from the police about what things are happening locally.
Okay, so a written one. That's a good point, Shelley. I should have brought that up with her. It didn't cross my mind.
Yeah. If she just sends you an email, just keeping us abreast of what's going on at the moment, that would be helpful.
Yep. Good point. Okay. Has the mayor given his apologies, or is he just not?
He doesn't need to, because he's ex officio.
Yep, no worries. Okay.
So did you say Rewe and Kim were apologies?
No, I haven't heard anything from them. Let me just check my phone.
They're not here, so you need to have them as apologies.
Rewe's got his apology.
No, Councillor.
Oh, no, sorry. You're right. Sorry, Lynn. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I put in the chat that Lewi's been called to a maraehui in Morrinsville and offers his apologies.
Okay.
In Morrinsville? Is he allowed to go there?
His corrections anyway.
Yeah.
Has he given his apologies to you, Eden?
Yes, after we moved in second, so I don't know if that counts.
Okay, I'll put it in. Yeah.
At least we know. I completely lost my train of thought.
You need to get a mover and seconder.
Yeah, I'll move it. And someone else second that we accept Rewe's apology.
Well,
Thank you, Frank.
I'll just put that in under the mover and seconder that are there. You're on to the confirmation of status of agenda, and you just need a mover and seconder for that.
Okay, I'll move that. We have a second for that.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Fantastic. Okay. Disclosures of interest. Do we have any disclosures of interest today?
No.
No. Okay. That's fine then. We will move along. Public forum. We don't have any members of the public. In a matter of interest, could we I know this is probably going to be the last time we have it by Zoom, and I hate doing things by Zoom, but it is what it is. Could we post the link to like a Facebook page, and if people from the public wanted to come and say something?
Takes us long enough now.
I know, but I'm just asking the question because it seems funny to have a public forum when none of the public have got the link, so they can't turn up.
You can put it on your Facebook page if you want.
Yeah, I don't want 20,000 anti-vaxxers coming and telling me I'm wrong.
Well, it's on YouTube anyway, so
yeah, okay.
What's the
okay?
worry?
Moving along, then confirmation of minutes. I move.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Yeah, thank you. I move that the minutes of the meeting of the Huntly Community Board held on Tuesday, the 21st September 2021 be confirmed as true and correct, and that was seconded by Red. Yep, all in favour. Wave,
Yep.
smile. Fantastic. Passed. Okay, moving on through. Police, not there. Funding update. Okay. So, Leanne and she's
Julie.
gone. Julie suddenly dropped off. Leanne and Julie and other people actually have been working very hard behind the scenes, and I think they've got some very positive news. And I will hand over to Leanne and Julie when she reappears, hopefully, to talk about these changes that are upcoming, which I'm very pleased about. Oh, here's Julie.
Okay. Oh, you're back on, Julie?
Yeah, I don't know what
Yep.
happened then. Sorry. Was it our part?
Yeah, I've just introduced you and said you've got great news, so I'm handing it over.
Well, I haven't now because I can't find the slide. No, but I have. So if you give me a few minutes, I'd just like to share with you the slides.
Do you want me to share it, Julie?
Oh, can you do it? Because I don't know what happened to my internet.
They are in the agenda, the slides.
Okay, well, I'll share them anyway. Do you want me to do it, Leanne?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be tricky and be able to do it, but actually, I can't find that little link thing.
I can do it. So,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen of Huntly Community Board, first of all, thank you for allowing me and Leanne to attend this session to talk to you about the outcome of a funding review that's been ongoing for the last 18 months. And to let you know, with no expense spared, I've put 3 slides together to talk us through the story. So I'm just going to move you all over to one side, and I'd like to share with you the story. So in relation to discretionary funding that the council was running, Leanne and I both worked in that field within the council, and on top of that, and also the mayor wanting us to review the funding, we undertook what was called a funding review to understand the impact or non-impact, depending on how you looked at it, of what our funding was actually doing for our communities. And I think the biggest thing that came to light very quickly was that the cost of us running funding in the way that we did as a council was that for every dollar that we spent, it cost us 39 cents to administer. And that isn't a good use of our public funding and public money. And the mayor was really keen as well to see how we could support our communities delivering on the livable, thriving and connected communities. So he asked some councillors and ourselves to undertake a review. I'm sure you're already aware of it through David, but the review has been taking place for the last 18 months. And on October the 18th, that review was approved by council. And this part of the outcome was approved. So the purpose of me being here today is to talk to you about what that means for you as Huntly Community Board. So you'll be aware that every year you receive funding, and over the last year or so, you've not spent all of that funding. So that's going to stay with you, whatever you were planning to do with that. And this year's LTP budget has also been allocated to you as well. So from a community board perspective, the purpose of the funding review was that we wanted to empower you as a community board to make your funding decisions with your funding. So what mattered to you, you're closer to the community, what does that look like? We wanted to give you an opportunity, and us an opportunity, to see whether that funding could be used for some seed funding for your community events that are important to you as a community. And then we also wanted to make sure, and this is the bit about the 39 cents, that it was all that funding was achieving maximum productivity for our communities. So when we as the council ran that funding stream, we had a number of different processes and everything that we had to follow, which in effect caused us to take longer, and we had longer periods of time to deliver that funding. You know, we'd only go out every quarter or every 6 months for certain funding. Whereas with you now, the money going over to you as a community board gives you the opportunity to be a bit more agile and work with your communities on those events and what have you that manages that. Now, we have to balance risk and opportunity carefully, all of us do, because the money that we're talking about is our ratepayers' money. So we have to make sure that it is we're accountable for it and you're accountable for it. And we have to make sure that it's spent in the right places that matter to the community. We also didn't want to see, if we could, the little rats and mice funding. It's a terminology that sort of stuck with us around, you know, $50 here to fix a gate or $70 here. We really wanted to see where we could help you and support you in match funding initiatives. And, you know, the more money that you have, the bigger opportunity there is to match against as well. And also looking at how we could work with you around the vision that we have as a council and a community about that funding helping our communities achieve something that's livable, thriving and connected. So everything that your community wants to do, how it has a line of sight into achieving some of those for your communities. You go here. So as of the 18th of October, these are some of the principles that are standing around the Huntly Community Board and all our community boards. So the carryover of funding that you had is yours already. So we call that underspend, but that's staying with you as a community board. And then the 21-22 discretionary funding has also been allocated to you for your community as well. Our aim truly was to empower you as boards to manage your own funding, but to provide you with some support in that transition as well through our democracy team and also through our finance team. And that goes back to making sure that we're accountable for the funding and how it's being spent, same way that we are in council as well as community boards. Where we can, we would like to see if we could align with you through the Blueprint and Community Aspirations programmes and also the budget. So the other part of the funding review is that a fair chunk of the funding, discretionary funding, has now been ring-fenced towards Blueprint or Community Aspirations. So where possible, if there's anything big that's going on or small that's going on, that budget from us, say like in Leanne's team, could also maybe partner up with some of your funding as well to see if we can get as many opportunities throughout the Huntly community as possible. Now, there is one thing that we do have to be clear about. The money needs to be spent on an annual basis. This is ratepayers' money. They're paying it on an annual basis, and we need to be able to see it being spent back on an annual basis as well. So less of that carryover and rolling over of the funding. Now, that was the principles of why we wanted to realign the community board funding to community boards for them to manage themselves. But we're well aware that that's quite a big transition from where it currently is now, where we manage that on behalf of the community boards. So Leanne has joined me today, and the next slide is a very high level process that Leanne will talk about how we will manage those, you as a community group, deciding on your funding and how we'll offer that support. But before I do hand over to Leanne, are there any questions that anybody has of me? I've had to pull my screen up so I can see.
Councillors Eden.
Yep, go.
Yeah, I'd just like to commend you on what you've done to date. I think that empowering the community board to be able to make decisions for itself along with yourself is something that the community will only benefit from. So just from my point of view, I think it's well done. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I think that that is our intention. That's our hope, that we can work closer together on that. Councillor Lynch was also on that for funding review as well. So if there's any questions around that, she'll be able to support even more. And we are going to hand it over to you and you are going to manage it, but we want to be partners with you as well and support you and walk alongside you. And that goes the same as well for the CAB budget, the Community Aspirations and Blueprint budgets, to ensure that we're also doing some work with you around that. So I'll hand over to Leanne and then she can talk through the process and explain next steps. Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
And I just want to, kia ora everybody, I just want to jump in and say with the CAB budget and the blueprint and community aspirations, we're coming back out to the boards in February to talk about that in more depth, get through this lockdown time and unusual times and hopefully start fresh next year. But for this part of the process, so what this means for you as a board and the support you're going to be getting going forward is going to be coming from democracy and finance. But we will be there in the background as well through this transition. So that the first part is that the board will determine what community aspirations, blueprint projects and events like Christmas Parade, Anzac, that they want to support. Although council is looking at an Anzac, separate Anzac budget, but we'll come back to you on that when that's been decided. The board chair or funding representative, it doesn't have to be the chair, it can be anybody on the board, will be the person going forward that will receive the applications for funding. That person will vet the application, and if finds that it could be supported by the wider board and all the ducks line up, will then send that application off to the democracy team for them to place on your agenda. And it will now be placed behind your discretionary fund report. So it won't have, what we've done is we've cut out the waste. The application form will be 2 pages, not 4. The guidelines are going to be down to 1 page and not 2, 3. And then we won't have a front-facing report. So you'll just receive the application, look at it, and it's that format. So that's cutting out a lot of paperwork waste. And then the board will consider it, whether they want to fund it or not fund it. And then the decision will be noted in the minutes, just like all the other decisions you make around recommendations. The board, the person, the role, will then send out the communication to the group via email, what that approval was or non-approval, and include in that email, and we'll help you through this process, or democracy will, the payment and accountability requirements. And then the invoice will be sent to democracy. Democracy will attach that to the resolution, and the finance department will look after it from there. Right at the very end, after the group has held its event, it will send in the accountability straight to the board. Yeah, so it's enabling you to really work quite closely with your community on these projects and events, which is kind of really cool, and enabling you to get on with it and do it. And for a long time, the Huntley Community Board and the other boards have been saying, we want to do it this way. And you could decide to set some sort of further criteria around that. You might want to sponsor a few small events next year, not the rats and mice $50 things, but you might say, we're going to support 6 $500 events next year or something like that. Or you might just want to sponsor 2 or 3 big things. That's the board's call on how, oh, we went funny then, on how you want to operate it. Yeah, but going back to what Julie was saying earlier on, if it's a big something and you feel the board hasn't got all the funds to do that, but you will need match funding or other seed funding, we're there to help with that. We want to make sure that that can happen for your community. So any questions, Eden?
Just I sent it off to my mum because she just recently went through the application process and just got her thoughts, and she just queried the original said you must present to a meeting, but is this the wording's changed to you may be required. Is that just to ease it with applicants and
So
things?
I'm not sure which document you sent off. Did you send the one off the web?
The guidelines one.
Was that off the internet?
No, it was the tabled one from Democracy.
Oh, from Democracy, the new one. The new one. Yeah. So, I mean, the board can make that decision whether it wants to hear from that group in person.
Yes.
Or how it wants to, because that's not always easy for some people to get to a board meeting. Somebody might be working. It is ideal that they come along and work with you and that you all do this together. But that's the board's decision, really. We're not going to hamstring each board. We want you to be a little bit agile with how you operate with that.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if I may speak.
For sure.
I've always been adamant that if you're going to ask for money, you should present yourself to ask for it. If the committee have questions they want to ask, they can only ask you then. If they want to know something and you're not there to present to it, you shouldn't get the money.
Yeah,
I know it is difficult for some people to get, like discretionary funding, when we have our meetings at council, it is difficult to come to the meetings. But if you're a local person and you're going to your local community board for funding for something, someone from your committee, someone from your organisation should be able to go to the committee. If you're going to ask for thousands of dollars from ratepayers, then you should have the gumption to turn up and be prepared to answer any questions. It's just my...
Can I speak, Mr. David?
Yeah, sure, Rick. You can always speak.
I think, Shelley, just to answer your question a little bit there, I think that being able to work with the community in funding, that's fantastic. And I think that you'd find all of us on the community board, including yourself, would agree that if you are going to apply for anything, it would be really nice for you to come and say hello to us and tell us what you are, and then come back later and say how good it was. And so I think that the community board will handle that situation really well, because all of us on the community board are approachable, and I think that the community recognise that, and the fact that we are out there being seen. So I don't think that will become an issue. But I agree with you, Shelley, in that there has to be accountability. But I don't think getting people to come along and say what they want to do with any funding will be an issue, because I think they will enhance the new schedule instead of the big veto that they had before.
I think you're right. I agree. And because we have our meetings at 6 o'clock at night, there's a better chance that people who work can come. But there must be somebody in each organisation who can come and present. I think that's only right.
Yep. And I'd like to welcome Greg. Greg sent me a message, and I checked it just before 6 o'clock, saying that there were IT issues, and he would join us as soon as the IT issues were sorted. So welcome, Greg. Yes,
just
Leanne?
one more thing, David. So you can do this tonight, or you can leave this till your next meeting, is to appoint that role for who's going to be receiving the application. So it is ideal that it's a person that does that. Maybe two people can opt in and out with that role, but it's a good idea if you decide amongst yourselves who that is.
I'm happy to do that as a chair, but I'm also really happy. In fact, I'm more than happy for someone else to do that.
I don't mind assisting as well. So
when you're here.
So Matt, can we move that tonight? That's going to be the way forward for just see how it goes for a while. I mean, you don't have to set it in stone, but you can see how it pans out.
I think you guys are receiving the applications. You've got support of the other members to be able to fall back on if somebody can't make that role. I really do. That's how we roll. So I think there isn't going to be an issue. But if you guys want to take it on at the start, because it's very easy for the both of you to just forward that stuff to all of us. And I put my hand up, but I've got enough to do now. So I just I don't mind being part of the interview board or whatever you got to do. So I think it's great. You know, like, let's just move on with it. You know, the progress has already been made, so don't stall it.
Yep.
Well, I think the recommendation is for the chair. So it doesn't matter who the chair is, because you've only got a year left and there's elections. Well, if we're going to have community boards or councils. So I would like to move the recommendation.
Okay, and I'll have a seconder from someone.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Read, and all in favour say aye. All those,
Aye.
Carried. Fantastic. Thank you for that.
Just before we move on, Chair, I'd just like to say that
Yes.
although we're handing over the discretionary fund, there's a huge piece of work coming our way as well around the community aspirations and blueprint stuff. So Leanne and I will look forward to working with you and through the rest of the community on whatever it is that are the ideas that you've got for what's important for your community as well. But as Leanne said, we'll probably do that more February after we've got over this period. So we've got some new people in our team as well, which we'll be able to introduce you to from an economic perspective as well as a community-led development perspective. And yes, it's all systems go.
Fantastic. Look forward
I
to
think,
it.
ladies,
Julie.
you've done a
Yeah.
great job, and you too, Shelley.
Oh, gee, thanks. Didn't do it by myself. Councillor
I don't want you to get a swell head, Shelley. I just want you to sit there and nice and calm. But the ladies, thank you very much for moving us forward. Hey, it's great.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Councillor
We look
Beck,
forward.
Councillor Sedgwick, Councillor Smith and myself were on the subcommittee.
So, yeah. Very good outcome.
We'll just keep in touch with you throughout this process. Democracy is going to be there to support, and you know where we are. But you will know where I am in a minute, because I'm going for a bacon and sausage butty for my dinner.
Oh my God.
Awesome. Thanks for your time tonight, Julie and Leanne. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye-bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
The Community Board Discretionary Fund Report. I had a look through this before. I didn't see anything that needed to be discussed, but does anyone else have some details there? Yes, Eden?
Is this where I raised the invoice for? Yeah. So I got the invoice for the welcome signs. There is a
$85.
$85 plus GST difference. That's to cover the spelling mistake that initially was put up. So there was meant to be 2 A's in Rahui. Luckily, AJ was able to quickly and promptly get in there and put a laminate over the top, so it's spelled correctly now. I think she did that within a couple of days. So I guess I need to seek approval to accept the adjusted invoice.
And I'll
Was
second
it
that.
your spelling mistake, Eden?
Hey, oh yeah,
Was
I
it your
totally,
spelling mistake?
I take it on the, I take
You're
the
the community
ownership
board
of it.
liaison officer of the Maori. You should pay the $85.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it wasn't Eden at all. Sorry, councillor.
Who was
you
it?
need to butt out.
It wasn't you.
It was
Traffic
simply that the committee were unaware that Tainui prefer the AA. That's all.
To hell with Tainui.
Um,
$85. Hell.
It's
So
moved.
I've moved. I've seconded it. All in favour, say aye or wave a hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Carried. Fantastic.
Against.
Okay, noted that Frank McAnally is against. Thank you very much, Eden, for doing that and taking care of the, well, I won't say minor error, but because it was significant, people had noticed it, but a small error. So thank you very much for doing that. Is there anything else in terms of the discretionary fund that we need to mention?
I guess one, I don't know if it falls in here, but I've got a quote for the street flags, Christmas flags.
Yep. Christmas ones.
Yeah. So I guess background is I found out, well, confirmed it's Jean under the branch of Let's Get Together, does the street flags and has an arrangement with Rivertown Electrical to put them up and down. Because originally I was tasked to contact Ngaruawahia board. They had no plans, they never got back to me, so I just didn't carry on. But in contacting Jean, she said she had a stock of Christmas flags, not like
last year's.
No. They're from about 3 years ago. And she was going to check the quality, but said it should be all good. There was good stock there. In the last week, she actually contacted me and said that she recommends purchasing 6 more flags as replacements for quality, and then there's a new and the addition of 4 flags that is a newer design. So she's sent me a quote that she got, and I just want to table it, I guess. But I only got the quote the other day, so I didn't get a chance to put it through.
So we're going to have flags this Christmas.
And
Yep.
so what's the
Right.
quote for, Eden? Like in terms of finances, I haven't.
So the quote is, it includes shipping and handling and printing, and the cost of 10 flags is $1,410.59.
Mhm.
That's plus that's including GST.
Yep, thank you. Shelley, did you have a question?
Yeah, yes, I do. Thank
Yo.
you, Mr. Chair. You just need to check, Eden, that the King Tuhatia's commemorative flags, I'm not sure if they're supposed to be up for the whole year. So it might be an idea if we make sure that we don't step on anyone's toes, if it's all right to take them down when it gets to Christmas. I think we should go ahead with the Christmas flags and try and lift everybody's spirit just a little bit.
Sam, do you have an update on the Koroneihana flags?
They're all down,
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Well,
both in
okay.
Ngaruawahia and Huntley.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Thank you,
I
Sam.
didn't even notice.
And do pass on our gratitude to the folks who put them up and took them down. I did notice they were up, but I was last in town a week ago.
Well, we're now into November, so are we going to do it or not? Because
Yes,
we
we
don't
are.
have much time.
Yeah,
So
We'll
can
need to move forward.
we move a recommendation that the new flags that need to be bought, is that all right, Lynn?
Yeah, I just need a price and yeah, all that.
Forward the
So Eden, you can send me the invoice.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, and I'll get it sorted for you all.
Okay, and I'm happy to second that motion that Shelley put together for basically getting it done, paying the money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, cool. All in favour, wave a hand.
I'm in favour.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, against, otherwise it's unanimous. Yep, cool, fantastic. And so they will be arriving in time, obviously, to go up on, what's the date that we're kind of aiming to put them up?
Christmas Eve.
Jean, I said, do they go up on the 1st or before the 1st of December? But she said more towards like the first weekend, if not the second weekend, just to give them a good amount of time. We're not too long up. She also said that she won't put any up at the roundabout because that's where they're not protected by any buildings, so they actually cop the most damage there.
Yep.
And probably not down the back. So I counted there's something like 70 street flag poles in total, but down the street, it's Main Street itself, there's only about, I think it's about 40.
Yeah.
Yeah. One
Cool.
thing that
Just one thing, let's put a timeline on how long the damn things are up there for. With all due respect, Jean means well, they can still be there at Easter. They don't come down. So we're going to have a timeline. End of January, possibly, like the last week in January. That's it. Otherwise, they'll still be there at Easter. You have bloody rabbits up the pole.
yeah, I can liaise with Jean on those flags and
Fantastic.
get that
Good
sorted.
work, Eden.
Thank you. Thank you for actioning that, Eden. I'm sure everyone will be much happier and there will be a happy people on Facebook instead of grumpy people on Facebook. So this is good. So thank you very
Don't be ridiculous, David. That's not going to change.
much. You'll find something else to whine about. This is all good. Okay. Okay, well, that's it for funding then. Yep, cool. Moving along then. What have I got next in the agenda? Monthly works and issues. Okay, we'll work through those. Let's just do, how do I do this? That. Promotional signage for Huntley. Now that is completed, is it not, Eden?
Yes, she's done a great job.
Awesome.
Yes,
It's fantastic, Eden. It is really good to see, and very positive comments from that. Okay. Fitness trail update. So I had a couple of chats with Kim. And so let me just, sorry, I'm doing this on the computer harder. So she's concerned that there's not, doesn't want there to be piecemeal development on that park space. So she wants to make sure that whatever development we do there fits in with the whole space and is good long term, which is a very wise approach. And so the other good news is that, so she wants out of that, she wants a park plan, which is not, so it's like a geography plan that says we're going to put trees here, we're going to have a fitness trail here, we're going to have seating here, we're going to have picnic space here, we're going to do this. And so there's a holistic plan for the area. And the good news in my mind is she's prepared to help us work on that. And so she's keen to sit down with us and do that. And so my suggestion is in 3 weeks' time from today, we set up a Zoom or a face-to-face, depending on what's allowable, and sit down with her and do whatever we need to do to get this process in motion and design out where we want stuff and how we want stuff. So does that sound like a plan? We have a workshop in 3 weeks' time?
Yep.
Yep. Oh, awesome. Fabulous. Hopefully face-to-face even. She did also mention that half courts are more expensive than you would expect. So they're putting in a half court in Okatarini, close to the diving platform, which is fantastic because that'll be really well used. And that half court is going to cost the council $85,000. Yeah. So they're not inexpensive. And to put that in perspective, it's going to cost the council it's going to cost $100,000 to do the complete fitness trail in Tamahiri. So a significant investment. So we want to make sure we get it right. And I'm sure the board can do it cheaper than the council can do it, but still it's not a cheap experience. Councillor Lynch.
As I said to you, David, you know.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Oh.
So you've got money in your discretionary fund.
Yes.
So, you know, it would be a really good idea if you showed good faith by the board putting in a good chunk of money to get this underway. I think Kim's right. We need a decent plan. We need to show that we're actually doing something. All the little bits and pieces that over the last few years we're supposed to have done, like the secret garden and stuff like that, hasn't really come to anything. Sorry?
I think you wanted a Guinness.
So I think you should put a decent amount of money into this and support it properly so that it can get underway.
I totally agree. And to my mind, you know, $40,000 is kind of the figure here. We should be investing into this as a permanent facility for long-term benefit for the public.
So you can say at the end of next year, this is what we've done. We've done this, and everybody who drives past can see it.
Yeah, I agree. Fred?
Yeah, I'm not there. I don't think that we need to say that this is what we've achieved at all. I think we've achieved quite a lot in the fact that we are involving the community in what we're doing. And one of the things that they've asked us to do is this development. And I think we should have the meeting before we commit the money, because there's areas where that you're going to need to spend money to put it all on paper. But I think that if you get a professional landscaper in, you're going to blow your $40,000 just on her or him. I do this stuff for a living, and there's plenty of people that will assist us and come and assist us to do this stuff. Let's use those people. Why do we have to keep using money?
Consultants, yeah.
Yeah, it's these people are filthy rich as it is. Why do we have to keep giving them money? Let's do something for our community that the community can show its own interest in. It won't take 2 years like the signs, but Eden went the right way about it. She didn't cut any corners and did it the right way. And most of that 2 years was dealing with the council. But, if she put her time and effort and money, if you put a monetary figure on it, that'll be a horrendous amount of money. So what I'm saying is, before we start committing stuff, let's see what we want and find the people that are appropriate for it and ask for services, rather than just say, here's $40,000, go away. And people shouldn't be in this community, need to be paid money to do something for their own community. I reckon that's wrong. There's a hell of a lot of people, good people in this town, Lions, there's all sorts of clubs that can get in behind us to make this thing happen. And why waste money?
Yeah, Red's on the right track here.
We can get this thing done. We just don't need to throw a whole heap of cash at it. And we can use that cash for essential stuff, Iwi might want this, or bloody the Kung Fu fighters might want this. And we can do that for their groups and help those little groups, instead of saying, well, we're going to chuck all this money and have a legacy that we left. I don't think there's a need for that, I reckon that there's people in this community that are willing to help. Let's use those people first.
Yep, I agree.
Well done, Red.
Use the
proved it with War Memorial Hall. Council 1.2 million to rejuvenate it. 128,000 by local contractors. People at Huntley did it themselves. Don't need bloody consultants. Not professionally. You're on the right track there for a change, yeah. I support everything Red's saying on this.
Cool.
Do it ourselves. We don't need bloody consultants. We've got everybody in Huntley can do the jobs. Any council job, tell me the last job that Huntley contractors got. Narrawahi contractors got nothing. Cushman and Wakefield do it all. Yeah, bloody big joke, this lot. Yeah. You're on the right track there, Red.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, could I please
That's
just remind Councillor Mackin that he is being recorded and he's on YouTube. Thank you.
Pardon?
I'd just like to remind you that you're being recorded.
I don't care. No code of conduct tonight.
So we're having a workshop in 3 weeks' time. So that's been confirmed. I think we've discussed that we're wanting to invest in this area and use our locals mahi first, and to be wise with what we do. So, okay, should we move to the next point, which is Gleeson and Cox? Do we need to still have Gleeson and Cox on the works and services issue? I'm leaning against it. Thoughts?
Against what?
Well, having Gleeson and Cox listed as a works community board issues kind of register there.
I think that most of the issues that we had originally have been resolved by the regional council.
Yep, cool. I agree.
There's a lot of issues in regards to the road and the dust and all that sort of stuff, but that's going to be ongoing with the council. I don't think it should. We can recommend to the council to go and have a look, but they're not going to do anything about it anyway. So,
Okay, so we'll scratch that one off the to-do list.
Yep. If you want to know where the COVID is, have a look how many trucks park outside the loo on the Great South Road.
Street light service requests. Greg, do you have an update on that?
Yes, I decided to tackle Kiwi Rail on their permitting, and all I got back, this was about 2 weeks ago, was that a grant permit has been issued, but they couldn't give me any more information to whom it was issued or when, because they were citing Privacy Act concerns.
Oh my God.
That's a great way of stalling it, Greg.
Yeah.
So basically, I have noticed that one of the streetlights has been dismantled and removed. So
Yeah.
something is happening, but how much and when it's going to happen, I don't know.
Okay. I tried to raise it with stuff, but there were no bites on that, on the invitation to have it as a newspaper story. So, well, thank you for staying on it, Greg. That
Yeah,
one.
well, I'll keep on picking away at it, and keep on reminding them that I'm waiting, and maybe they'll get the message and actually do something eventually.
Thank you, Greg. East Mine overhanging trees. Vanessa, did you get any response from the contractors to say that this should be higher on their kind of to-do list?
No, I haven't, sorry, no.
Can you hassle them, please, and get back to us about, there's no doubt they'll be starting work or have already started work. So
Will do.
Be good to have that cleared up.
And the rubbish that's down there now is horrendous yet again.
Yeah. Right. I asked for the rubbish people to do a proactive check.
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, I did get a reply, but I don't think I've read that email. I don't know if it was a reply to that or something else, so I don't know where that's at.
The longer it stays there, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And we'll just dump it over here. And that's what's happening down that road all the time now.
Yeah.
It's the local dumping spot.
Nuts. Okay, walkway closure. That's well, that won't have progressed because of COVID. Overgrown vegetation. So that service request was put in. I've not heard anything back from the council. Vanessa, can you have a ferret around to see whether that service request around the vegetation removal has gone anywhere?
But, yeah. They've gone along and sprayed under the trees as far as the marker posts, but the problem is that that's why they've sprayed it, because you can't get under the trees.
Okay.
I just think there's an accountability issue here with these contractors. I really do.
I'm going to argue with that one. I think that's a very valid point. I'm not too sure how to not enforce it, but bring it up. And one of the good things is that the council is looking at their service request, I guess, process, for want of a better word, and hopefully the outcome of that, whenever, however long that takes, and that's not going to be a short process. Hopefully at the end result, we will have some clear, a clear picture of what service requests are actually being done and what service requests are not.
Can I ask Vanessa the question, Mr. Chairman?
Sure.
Once the work is completed, does anybody follow up to see it's been done to any standard?
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see, but there is a some commentary in here that does talk about that they do cycle around and check on things. Obviously, they have so many, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of service requests.
Yes.
And I think it was something like 10% that they end up checking on. So it might be once a month they do a check in a particular area. But you'd think still, if it's not checked, it would be picked up eventually just by, statistically, wouldn't you?
You would, but like the standard of workmanship from the contractors that come into our town is shocking. Absolutely shocking.
I noticed that when the main street cleaning, that I asked to have an inspection there with myself and effectively the bosses of the main street, that the quality suddenly jumped significantly, and that when we went for a walkthrough, there were only minor issues that needed tidying up, whereas before that, there was always significant issues when I walked through, and this hasn't been done properly. And also, when they were doing the job, there were heaps of people saying to me, "Hey, look, they're cleaning the main street," whereas normally no one would comment to me because they wouldn't see the contractors. So when inspections are done, the quality of work seems to improve.
And that there lies the problem, is that they know they've been kicked up the butt, but as soon as they realise that there's no one watching them anymore, we just revert back to where we started.
Yeah, no, it's not good enough.
It isn't good enough. If you look at the roads that are getting repaired around the district, the workmanship on those roads is absolutely terrible. The roads in most cases around Huntly and Oreeny and Gordington that have had the overlays done, they're worse than when they started the road. you know, and we just talked about money being spent. We're absolutely wasting thousands and well, probably millions of dollars on these contractors because no one's keeping an eye on them. And they self regulate themselves. They have the same person goes along and checks, marks out the job, and they do the job. And the bloody standard of those jobs is absolutely terrible, absolutely terrible. And I just think, you know, like as an overview of the whole thing, that there is no standard as such for these guys that they should be keeping. They're getting paid top dollar to do a job, and the council and the ratepayers are giving them the opportunity to do the job, but they aren't doing the job. It's terrible. It's shocking. We as a community board have a right to say that this is going on because everybody can see it. The standard of the workmanship around is absolutely shocking, especially on our roads. Especially on our roads. It's terrible.
Yeah. It's the
Well,
road.
again, I'm happy to raise that with our GM Roger.
Yep.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And I mean, obviously, I don't know where these examples are. But
I'm quite happy to meet with them and show them. I'll take them around. You know, the standard is terrible.
Okay.
More than happy.
Thank you.
Okay.
And sorry, just on that one as well. So you've talked roads, but you're talking quality of a lot of things, aren't you? Not just roads.
All the standard of workmanship that is being done in our area is not of the value that we're paying for it. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think Roger's the best person to talk to about that.
No problem.
Okay, in-ground garden lights. I was reading that. The last update is actually September 21, and the reason for that was that I was told that there was no money in the kit, and then when June 2020, oh no, so I've stuffed up my things. Don't worry. I'm sorry. It's on record. I'm chasing that up as well. I'm trying to chase that up. Garden lights. Year-to-date service report animal control, that's closed off. Willow Lake, no update there because of COVID restrictions. Same with the graffiti, Huntley West graffiti there. Akamarata Road. An update will be provided by staff to the board meeting. Do you have an update on that, Vanessa?
No, sorry, I don't know. I haven't heard anything on that one.
Okay, you can chase that up. The men's shed that's closed then. Purchase of Christmas flags, we've had that discussion. Representative to the aged care, that's closed. So I asked for information of street gutter cleaning to be provided to the board, and you can see there is some information there regarding what actually happens with, I printed it out so I can read it, with the street cleaning. The additional questions I have, Vanessa, around that is, it says in here, mechanical sweep blast completed July and August and next scheduled for December. Is that the CBD or is that the whole town? Because in my mind, I haven't seen an improvement of the grunge in the gutters over the whole town from the start of the year to now.
A road sweeper won't remove that stuff, David. It needs to be done with a shovel. It's been there that long, the road sweeper won't pick it up.
That's interesting because I noticed on the State Highway 1 corridor, they did that. They went through with a shovel and shoveled stuff out, and then they went through and cleaned it, and they've done a really good job, which is a good point, Vanessa, that the cleaning that they've gone through, the sweeping of the old State Highway 1 corridor has been done really well. Okay. And I was pleased to see that, and pleased to see the ponds have disappeared when it rains, etc., etc. Right, so when it's not loose red, then it doesn't get swept up.
The broom won't pull it out, no.
Okay. So yes, the question is are they sending the sweep around the whole town, or is it just the CBD they're doing it in?
Okay.
Can we go back to the graffiti, David?
Yes, it was graffiti of the, it was, wrong list.
Huntley West Sports Complex?
Yeah, it was the Huntley West Sports Ground that they wanted a mural put up for. But yes, we can talk about graffiti now, would be good. Yep.
I remember saying to those people that were building the railway station that they should put a paint on the bottom of the railway station that would be able to wash the graffiti off easily. That's all been tagged under there now. And the backs on the bypass, our town looks like crap. It really does. There's tags on every building as you go down that bypass. Every building's been tagged. The bridges have all been re-tagged, and it's huge. It's a terrible problem. What are we going to be able to do about that?
The problem that I see, because I've thought about this, is that those backs of those buildings are a funny colour. So if I go through and paint them out, I don't have a colour match. And so you end up, instead of having these nice, the same colours, you end up with this mishmash of ugly, ugly colours, which looks just as ugly, to be honest, as the tagging and the graffiti. So
well, I've got a uniform colour that I remember I spoke to you about.
Yep.
That'll do most of that, and got a good quantity of it. But what we need is bodies to actually put it on. So we just don't leave it up to one or two people. We need a few people to actually get out there and do it, and do it all in one day. That's your section, blah, 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 and hit it so that these people realise that we're going to do something about it, because, it's bloody terrible, absolutely terrible. Every door, every window, it's just everywhere.
Let's pick a date. This Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, I'm out because of, I would encourage you to buy a ticket to the Huntley Garden Ramble, because believe it or not, my place is on the Garden Ramble as a rambly garden. So that's Saturday and Sunday.
I'll get the paint first, and then I'll give you the buzz when it's all here, and then we pick a date.
Okay.
I'm happy to help.
Yep.
Absolutely. And so am I, as we know.
I'll rake in my fun now. That's a few. Shelley's got a big fan there too.
Is there
Sorry, I've got my hand up.
oh, sorry.
Sorry, Shelley, I didn't see that. I actually don't see the little thingy you have. And then I'll notice you.
Okay, I will do that then. Just bear in mind private property, and you did come across that hiccup last time of members of the public and with health and safety, so just keep it in mind.
We'll make sure they're trained and signed off.
Papers, crash helmet.
Yep. No standing on State Highway 1.
You'll be there, so we'll get you a special vest. Come on, mate.
I've got something on Saturday.
Oh, no, not this week.
Not this weekend.
Okay.
Whatever it is. Cool. Okay. Yep. And also on that note, we've got a gentleman who's maybe well known to those who use Facebook, Phil Amos. He's asked to have some paint so he can paint out graffiti. So I'm going to get him some paint from Marnes, thank you. Paint shop, and give it to him, and he's happy to do that. So I'll get him some white, some grey, some green, and some brown, which is the colour matches that match pretty much everything. And we'll go from there. So that's really good. So it's really positive to see someone in the community step up and say, I want to do and help out here. So that's really neat.
So you're going to buy the paint for his property?
I'm going to buy the paint for painting out of the graffiti, and bring
for the graffiti
wherever he wants to do it. So basically, like I do, I turn up with my bucket and paint out stuff. So as long as
I'm just trying to bring it back to the difference between public property and private property.
He wants to do stuff that's in the public space. So I'm fairly confident that means that you're driving along and you see something and you paint it out, and people are very happy if you do it to the same color. I mean, that's why you get the color matches, so you don't end up with grey over white and brown over white and all those ugly stuff. So it looks like the graffiti was never there in the first place. And there's lots of places I've painted out that people can't tell graffiti's been there. And talking of graffiti, I've asked about colour matching, because the reason for this is that if you walk through the council underbridge area under the railway line at the south end of town, there's a hodgepodge of painting out of graffiti, and every time the graffiti's painted out, a different colour's used.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, and so it looks but ugly. And so from the information here, that's obviously not acceptable. So I'll be off to take some photos and to lodge a bit of a complaint there. And, I wouldn't mind if they chose one colour and just kept the same colour, but every time it goes through, it's a different colour. And so, why
Yeah, well, I hopefully have a substantial amount of one colour, Mr. Chairman.
Is that councils or is that Kiwi Rail, the abutments?
Well, this is the discussion I've had, and it's
Kiwi
taken
Rail.
me quite a bit of effort to get the contractors to actually paint out the graffiti, because technically, even though the footpath going through and the tunnel effectively, the sides are technically Kiwi Rail's concrete, but the ground is technically council's concrete. And so therefore the sides that you walk under and the, basically going under the rail is technically Kiwi Rail's. So
It doesn't really matter whose it is. No one's going to do anything about it except us, are they?
Exactly. So it took me quite a lot of effort to get them to actually paint the sides that look like council property, and everyone assumes is council property. But instead of just using council paint, they've used random colour number 12.
Just while you're talking about this, Mr. Chairman, with your indulgence, the balustrades are going to be repaired and replaced on the rail walk bridge tomorrow, starting tomorrow. It's going to take about 3 weeks.
This is fantastic news. Thank you very much, Shelley, for sharing that. That's made my day. Bit of history for this. That was caused by someone spitting the dummy probably 18 months ago. Someone really spat the dummy in the more, 2 years? Yeah, it might be 2 years. It's been since I've been on the board, but fairly early on, who took photos of the absolutely disgusting state of that handrail and the giant sections that kids could just ride their bikes through almost into the river, and said basically this is not good enough. And so she posted on Facebook, said that's not good enough. And then from there, she phoned the radio stations, she phoned staff, she phoned the council. She basically said this is not good enough. And in the end, it turned out council owned the asset, but they didn't know they owned the asset. And so they didn't know they were supposed to be maintaining the asset. And
they did actually know they owned the asset, because that's been known for many years, David. Okay. It's just that with the rollover of staff, and so much rollover of staff, some of them aren't up to speed with what council has input into and what they don't.
Okay. It's a shame you got to go to those tactics to get things like that done. Whereas if it was my bridge and it was in that state, I'd be taken to court.
Exactly. Yeah, they just put up that orange mesh.
Yeah.
Problem solved. And so there was then further delays because the rail height wasn't legal rail height. And so therefore it was what do we do? Do we repair it? And then of course it had to be designed and then gone out to and so now 3 weeks in a month's time we'll have a rail thingy so kids don't fall through, which is fantastic. That is really good. Thank you, Shelley.
So there'll be people working on it over the next 3 weeks, but the walkway will still be, people can still walk across it. But just be aware. It should go on the Facebook page.
Thank you. I will. That'll be. I'll see that there. Next up, potholes in the pedestrian crossing. Vanessa, I take umbrage. I don't even know what the word umbrage means.
It's the right word,
I take offence, but I don't like people who take offence. So I'm upset about the fact that the crossing pavers are slightly rutted. You cross, it scares me because it's a pedestrian crossing and you cross it and you're not watching properly. Your foot goes into a pothole and you nearly twist an ankle. And maybe for those who are still under 30, slightly rutted is fine. But for those of us with grey hair, it's scary as heck. And I'm surprised no one's popped an ankle yet, or a little old lady's not broken elbows as she's fallen on the ground.
What about the amount of people that are in wheelchairs?
Yeah. So it's a very ableist comment. There you go. It's a very ableist comment.
You got me confused.
Sorry, it's a new trendy term, Red.
Oh,
Ableism,
okay.
which we're, those of us who have, good legs and good arms. And
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm
you know,
buggered.
Yep. So
I can raise it again as a health and safety risk.
it is. It's a huge health and safety issue. And to me, it should be the number one priority, because just think of the headline: little old lady falls over and gets hit by a car because
Why little old lady?
Because little old
Little
men
old
don't get
men
the
are
same
just as
sympathy.
unsteady when they're running to get their lotto ticket. Oh no, that's right. Lotto's not open. I'm sorry.
Anyway, okay.
Yes, it is.
No, it wasn't when I went looking for my driver's license.
No, not the lotto shop.
Yeah. Okay. State Highway 1 corridor in Huntly. So a question I have about this one, Vanessa, is I was told 3 years post handover to the council that all the work would be completed. So they had 3 years to complete all the work. And handover was last June, I do believe. Is that right, Shelley? Have I got my dates right?
Sorry, say that again, David.
When did State Highway 1 corridor be handed over to the council?
No, not yet. No, we haven't had official. We haven't had the official handover yet.
Okay, sorry. I was told it was going to be June this year. Okay.
Gonna.
Okay, scratch that then, Vanessa. You're obviously still in negotiations. Okay.
$1.5 million. The mayor spoke about that as well, to go back into the community from transit.
Yeah,
I think it's the amount of work to be done is being negotiated as to who does it. If we take it back now and they give us money for us to do, well, council to do it, or if it prolongs while we wait for them to do all the work.
Yeah, I thought all of that negotiations had been and gone, but obviously not.
Last I heard, maybe January.
Always next month, isn't it? It's gonna be happening soon. Okay, works update, cleaning, cleaning description of work, which is really handy. Thank you, Vanessa, for having that included in there. So I suspect that came from Roger. So that's really fantastic. So please thank him for that. I'll be reading that and holding people to account.
Cool.
Service requests report, which it is what it is. Can't change that. Future-proof 30-year growth plan. I'm disappointed that someone's not here from the council to talk about this. The reason I bring this up, and it's very high level, and I've looked at some of the documents, and I'm sure a lot of highly qualified people have been paid lots of time and money by the ratepayer to put this together across multiple councils. My concern is if we don't get something in there that we want in 5 or 10 years' time, when we want something, they're going to turn around and go, but it wasn't in future-proof, so you can't have it, which is kind of what's happened with Ohiniwai. They've had to really battle, Sleepyhead have had to really battle it's not in our plan, so therefore you can't have it. So my concern is, what do we need to ask for as a board to make sure that in 5 years' time or in 10 years' time, when we say, hey, we want a walking connection or we want a something, they're not going to turn around and say, well, it wasn't in future-proof. And I noticed that Huntly is mentioned in future-proof for intent that future-proof and supports state houses. I can't remember the exact words, but effectively state house intensification in Huntly, which is going to happen.
It doesn't say state house.
It
No,
does.
it doesn't say state housing. It says intensification of housing.
Yeah. It says.
So I had quite a few questions to ask, and one of the questions I asked was the relevance of future-proof, since we have a minister who on the one hand is making a snatch for the Three Waters, and on the other hand is doing the local government review. And what standing will future-proof have? And are we going to have councils anymore, or Are we going to have public entities like she's trying to bring in? Are there going to be community boards anymore? We don't know. We don't know what the review is going to bring out. But if the minister can mandate just something like the Three Waters, then the possibilities are amazing on what she can do with local government representation. So I asked what standing Future Proof will have. Well, Proof is on a higher level, and it's the so we should have had Vishal come and talk to us a bit about it, but you can't just put in that you want a walkway in Huntly to be considered by Future Proof, because it's on a higher level than that.
Okay.
So it's going to be what's going to be legislated. We can't really do much about.
Firstly, Shelley, we really appreciate the fact that you ask these questions and that you're in chambers to ask these questions, and you keep people on their toes and make people feel uncomfortable. And I'm sure it's not an easy process. And as a board, we really appreciate that. I was reading page 24 of final H2A plan, key area 4, river communities, key initiatives 3. Huntly, support the revitalisation of the town through a comprehensive social housing upgrade and redevelopment.
Are you reading the last? So we had Future Proof yesterday. Was it? Are you reading that presentation?
No, I'm reading
or
the ones
you reading
that went
a
out.
Previous one.
I'm reading the ones that went out for consultation, and so I found them online. futureproof.org.nz / blah, 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 final H2A plan, November 2020.
Yeah, okay.
Because I mean, there's a bunch of
Yesterday was
PDFs.
a bit.
I mean, there's like 7 or 8 of them plus appendices. So like, which one do you read and how do you read? And so that was just the one I was reading, and that jumped out at me.
I'll send you the presentation that was done yesterday. Might be better.
Okay, well, if we need to make a submission as a board to that process, I will pass that. I will try and draft something up in the time I don't have and send that round. And it would be really simple if it does. It will be just a paragraph or 2, because it's really high level, and to be honest, it's a bit above my pay grade, you know. But I worry for Huntly, and I worry that we're going to be boxed in, and someone's going to come up with a great idea like Sleepyhead, and they're going to go, yeah, nah, it wasn't in the, you know, this, so you can't do it. You know, okay. Right then, we'll move on then. Future Proof, what's this? Board approval of schedule of meetings. Does anyone, I mean, I'm just happy to straight move into this. Does anyone have anything to say about that? Forever hold your peace if you do. No, okay. I move that the Huntly Community Board continues to hold its meetings at 6 p.m. on a 6-weekly cycle in 2022 on the following dates, which are listed, which I'm not going to read.
We've all seen it.
Yep, and that they oscillate between Riverside Rooms and Huntly West Community Hub.
Yep.
Can I have a seconder?
Yep.
Thanks, Red. All in favour, wave and smile.
Aye.
Against, carried. Fantastic. That's the calendar, and then there's my chair's report, which includes the report from last month, which I didn't make it in time. Which reminds me of blah blah. Yep, nothing I really want to discuss. Some pretty pictures in there. Anything more if people want to bring up about that chair's report?
I just wanted to talk about the tennis court renewal.
Yes.
If you've got any further detail on it, I'm pretty excited. Been down there a lot with my family. Currently, as it is, it's quite dangerous. There's a lot of gravel and silt on the basketball court. So it's, there's a high risk of falling. There's no rubbish bins around it.
Rubbish bins.
You have to walk to the soccer club luckily I terrorize my family and make them pick up extra rubbish. In the basketball hoop, the backboard is loose, it swivels. So, but I've had a few people that we've talked to while we're down there say it'd be cool to see those backboards like graffitied or, something, community, some sort of art installation, I guess.
I think that lady that runs the hub, what's her name? Henny, yeah. But, she'd be good to approach because she's already not doing those power boxes around town, and I think she's doing a bloody great job.
Oh, Evelyn?
Yeah.
Evelyn, but yeah, I'm like, it says that there's the AstroTurf to go in, which is cool, and the patterned courts. Be sad to see the lights go, but I know that's a wider issue for council around sports field lighting.
Yeah.
The current lights are expensive. I was like, can't you invest in solar panels or something? But no, or a drone.
Batteries go missing when they invest in solar lights.
Yeah.
Can't.
But I would like to see maybe an even bigger sort of improvement to the area. It looks pretty derelict at the moment.
It's a long time since any money was spent there.
Now, I wouldn't have included the name of the person I met because I'm not allowed to do that in my chair reports. I get told off. I'm not allowed to do that. So I can't tell you the person I met with. Great bloke, off the top of my head. So if I flick you his contact details, because obviously he works for the council, we met on site and had a wander around. If you want to chat to him too, because he said, I can't remember what the time frame was, but he was working from basically starting with what have we got in the community across the district, and then let's put a plan together to renew them. So I don't know where we will fit in that process. Rubbish bins did not come up with a conversation, which was interesting because I'd noticed there was some small amounts of litter lying around, but I didn't connect that there wasn't a rubbish bin there. So all of your good ideas could feed directly into him, and then we can get them sorted. So I'll send you an email with name, and you can have a chat to him. And
I just picked up another project.
Don't open your mouth so much.
Shouldn't Vanessa follow the safety issue through?
Oh yeah, that's a good point actually. Loose gravel. So do you think it would improve with a sweeping, or do you think that the sweeping would just generate more because the
it would probably bring the asphalt off. And make it worse. But it wouldn't hurt to get rid of the loose stuff and tighten up the board.
Yeah.
I think you better to do it through Vanessa.
Okay.
And she needs to get onto staff and find out what's going on and how much longer it's going to take. Okay. Well, I'll leave Vanessa, Eden, and this. All I remember is he had a great British accent of some sort. Might be UK, somewhere in there anyway.
You might need to let me know who that was, David.
My brilliant description. It was a bloke with an accent. I mean, how hard can it be? Yeah, no worries. I'll send an email. I'll look through because or my phone. I can't remember how I got in contact.
Yeah, perfect.
Proactively, I was really pleased about it. Okay. What else have we got on the agenda? Over to Shelley. A verbal update on councillor stuff if you want to give one.
Main focus had our consternation over the Three Waters debacle. So we were asked to provide feedback, which we did, and then it was completely disregarded, and the minister is going to legislate for it, which is causing quite a lot of disharmony through the country. All of the councils, 67 of them, are not very happy about it. We've had a couple of workshops on the local government representation review, and as I've said, is that going to go the same way? Are we going to be disregarded and the minister just make rules however she chooses? to run the country. And I've brought up democracy as a point of issue so many times, I'm tired of hearing the word. But yeah, we've been continuing to have our Zoom meetings. All our council meetings are on Zoom. And yeah.
Question, Shelley.
I'd like to...
Could I ask you a question?
Yeah.
The when I asked the mayor at the last Zoom meeting, what sort of monies we were talking about had been invested in Huntly, like it was an extraordinary amount of money. With this legislation, is there going to be any compensation for any of that, or are they just going to take it? Because that's wrong.
It is wrong, Reed. You're correct.
Like most of the Huntly region around here has been upgraded and substantially upgraded. And I think that money, like it should be taken further, because where you go, I don't really know, but they can't just take something that the ratepayers and the communities have spent mega bucks on doing. They just can't do that. Obviously, there's got to be someone that.
But they can.
Yeah,
they can, and they will just. She's mandated it.
Yeah, well.
She's putting it through legislation now as we speak. She's hoping to have it done before Christmas. So where's our democratic right? Where's our consultation with the country?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like the attitude, I really don't.
Mm.
On that note, I'll just interject here. Sorry, Councillor Lynch.
Sure.
I had a chat to, I don't know the name of the person inside at Watercare, because I've noticed that on Harris Street and on Hakanoa Street, there's been lots of cones out and pipe works moving about and people and stuff. And so I've asked them kind of what they're doing. And so Watercare, or the council, have upgraded the water mains along Hakanoa Street and along Harris Street, or in the process of upgrading. So that's replacing the pipes that the houses tap into along those roads. And so one could make the assumption that removing the old scale-filled pipes and replacing them with brand new plastic pipes is going to reduce the amount of sediment that falls off, or scale that falls off into the water. So hopefully we'll see an improvement in the water. I haven't been able to, I didn't look up the right table online to find the right amount of money that they've invested, but I'm sure it's a huge chunk of change looking at how long it's taken.
It would be, yeah.
So
you and I consulted on something else, didn't we, David? What the heck was that?
Probably. I find it really difficult to remember for yesterday, let alone a week ago.
Yeah, so we did. Sorry, we did a couple of things in the last 6
the
weeks.
40 kilometre.
And we did that. What else? There was something else that you and I got, and that we were consulted on. Sorry, I should have written it down. But yeah, we have done a fair bit of work. One of the things that is frustrating is that Huntly residents don't see the amount of work that goes underground in Huntly, and so everyone always thinks that there's no money spent here, but a lot of our money is spent on consenting. That takes a huge amount of resources. Resource consents cost a fortune, and applying for them on certain dates for regional council, they cost a fortune. So it's unfortunate that the residents don't actually see what goes on and how much money is invested in the town, because it doesn't look pretty, like Ngaruawahia looks amazing. That was something. I've been for a walk around Puketerina a couple of times, and City Care are doing a really good job on keeping it tidy. It looks really nice. I was also down at the cemetery just recently, had a little conversation with my mother, and I believe from her perspective, she complimented City Care on the cemetery. Well, I interpreted it that way. I did have a little beer with her though. They were working down there. I had a couple of complaints about the state of the cemetery, but with lockdown, like there's only so much that the staff can do. But City Care did do a really good job of tidying up down at the cemetery.
Cool.
Just thought I'd throw that in.
Good stuff. Okay, 2 things and then we'll close out the meeting. One is I've checked my phone and there's been a message here from Kim giving her apologies for the meeting just past 6 o'clock, so that should probably be recorded since that came in.
No, we'd already started the meeting.
Yeah. Eden, yes?
What's the latest on the recycling plant by Lake Hakanoa? I had a conversation with one of the neighbours and they believe it's already being used as, so I thought it was just a normal storage facility, but
No.
it's being used as a storage facility for recycling overflow. And that apparently it's all set to go ahead to become a recycling plant. Now, that's not the impression I got from the mayor.
No, it was not the impression we got from the mayor.
That's the word on the street, basically, is they're full
Doing
steam
it.
ahead. Council's leasing the space already, and we're going to, and it's just going ahead, the recycling plant. So, which I'm sure the mayor was quite adamant against that.
Yes, yes. Bunker has been used for overflow of.
Sorry, Shelley, your connection's
but
If we turn
I
off
got kicked out.
you're back?
Am I?
Yes, you are.
Am I back
yes.
properly?
Yeah, you're back properly. Yep, look at that.
Okay. Yes, it was. Wright Street was used during COVID for the overflow, but I am doing all that I can to stop it from going to White Street, and there could possibly be alternatives, but I can't say anything more than that at the moment because
Didn't we agree at the last Zoom meeting that wasn't in the community's interest to have anything down there of that nature? I'm pretty sure that's
Yes.
what we all agreed on, and we were supported by the mayor. So it shouldn't be at any stage.
But you weren't supported by Councillor McAnally. Do you remember that?
Yes.
He was all for it.
Yes, I agree.
So could I just suggest that we just put this on hold for the moment?
Well, you've got to remember, Shelley, that summer's coming up and the stench will start to come out.
Yeah, there's no agreement has been signed.
Yes, but it is already being used as a facility to store broken glass and crushed glass in there now. So
And once COVID is over and Waste Management can get rid of their stuff, then it will be removed.
which it doesn't.
Well, no
I'm not getting
lease
into
agreement
Kelly,
has
but
been has been entered into it. And
what I'm saying is that I'll guarantee you that it won't get removed because I know the owner of that property and money's money.
I can assure you that no lease agreement has been made.
Yeah, it shouldn't have been allowed to happen in the first place.
Yeah, it makes temporary does creep into permanent, doesn't it? That's, nothing more permanent than a temporary building.
It can't without agreement, David.
Yeah, well,
and I'm not agreeing to it.
Good.
And I've kicked up quite a fuss about it.
Well,
and I don't want to say anything, but there are alternatives in the works.
Well, if you need me to apply pressure by email or in person, or if you need Red to apply pressure in person, I'm sure either of us would be very happy.
I don't want any pressure from Red. Thank you very much.
Come on, mate.
So we do not at all want a recycling facility in residential areas.
It's wrong on every count. It's so wrong.
It is. Absolutely.
Just bearing in mind that particular site is light industry.
I know, right, where it shouldn't be. It should be
Exactly.
freaking residential or light commercial or something. It actually
Tried to get
people.
Tried to get it changed to residential, and the owners changed their mind and wanted to keep it as light industry.
That's unfortunate.
Anyway, if you just leave it alone for a little bit, We'll just see what comes of it.
And anything else, Shelley, before we wrap up?
No, thank you.
Okay, cool. Thanks,
All
Shelley.
right. So what time, Lynette, did Councillor McAnally leave the meeting? Do you know? Because I think he went quite early.
Yes, he went he told us he was going at 6:45
Good to see everyone as usual.
and he went at 6:46.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Lastly, I'd like to thank Sam for his patience. I find it amazing, Sam. You turn up to these meetings and you sit through
Nice
them.
to see you, Sam.
Don't say much. I don't think I could quite cope with that. So I'd just like you to invite you if you feel that you're comfortable doing that, to close us with a karakia, Sam. You'll need, yes. Oh, still not coming through, even though you're unmuted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and community board members. No, I like listening in because I was born in Huntly, and Huntly's always been dear to my heart. So that's the only reason, and it's good to see we've got. See, I went to school with Shelley, and good to see she's still kicking. Still
noisy.
So, yeah, but thank you very much. No reira e te atua, tēnei mātou e tuku atu whakamoimiti ki a koe. Heavenly Father, we say thank you for the thoughts and the words that were spoken tonight. Dismiss us with your love and your grace. Amen.
Amen.
Kia ora koutou.
Have we stopped recording?
No.
Could you stop recording, Lynette, please?
Yeah, and I can